And welcome everybody, Prophecy in Spotlight here. Are we on a collision course with nuclear war? You know, it's been, what, 50, 60 years since we dropped the bombs in Japan. Have you ever wondered why nobody's ever nuked anybody ever since then? Do you realize it could be right around the corner? You realize right now in your living room when you're watching this, there could be a nuke headed to your city right now? Do you understand how close we are with what's going on in Europe with Russia and Ukraine and all this crazy stuff? We got an important show for you today. Doc is in the studio. We're going to talk once again about Russia and Ukraine and all this stuff going on. The fact that we are pushing Mr. Putin into a corner. And when you push a bear into a corner, that bear is going to come out swinging. And I don't think we're ready for what may be coming. Stand by. And welcome everybody, Prophecy in the Spotlight here. I am your host, Brother Dan Goodwin, sitting with me, Dr. Charles Hiltebittle. Doc, it's sure good to have you back.
Yes.
I know you can't always be here, but we're glad you're here. And boy, what a topic today. We did a show last week. You wasn't here, but we talked about Russia. We talked about the Golan Heights. We talked about the fact that Mr. Putin said the Golan Heights belongs to Syria, and we know why he said that, because he's in Syria.
Well, he plans to use the mountains of the north.
Yeah, and that's what the Golan Heights are.
That's what they are.
The mountains of the north. You got a verse for you. Yes. Let's go ahead and read that in Ezekiel 38.
He says, starting in verse number 3, he said, And say thus, saith the Lord God, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. So, yeah, looks like there's a reason to be pulled down into this conflict.
Prophecy people have been talking about those hooks for years, decades really. That God's gonna use something to draw, just like he did Nebuchadnezzar. He did the same thing. He brought Nebuchadnezzar against Israel, took Israel, and it was God's judgment against Israel. And he used Nebuchadnezzar to do it, brought him into Babylon for 70 years of captivity to get his Sabbath back that they didn't keep. And he's going to do the same thing with Russia. He's going to use Russia. Russia's going to come down, and all but 20% of them, it's not just Russia, Iran is going to be there.
Oh, it goes on to give you the list of all the names.
Gomer, and
you know, there's the names that are given there, and the Magog groups and all the others with it together. You're looking at least a population of 500 million people that's represented by this army.
Yeah, of course they're going to send armies. It's not
that's what
the whole population,
but representative of those many people.
And all but 20% are going to die.
Yes, only 1/6 will. Amazing. It's kind of like one of the battles in the Bible. I can't remember exactly where it was, but that night, everybody, the next day, Israel got up and looked over there, and the battlefield was strewed with all the people killing themselves. Yeah. Same thing's going to happen again.
Yeah. Well, Doc, my new book is now let me have this one here, Mrs. Goodwin. This is the brand new book. Time is running out. We did a couple shows on this, and here it is. Beautiful cover. And boy, is that applicable today, Doc. Time is running out.
It's just the last few drops of sand's about to fall out, I think.
Yeah, and we're near the end of this thing, and I believe the Ezekiel 38 war, I've believed this for a long time. I believe it more strongly now than I ever have. Yes. I believe that Ezekiel 38 is at or before or right at the rapture.
You know, as the closer you get to any event, more light's shed on the subject, and more pieces of that puzzle come in together. And I can't help but think you're right about this.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, we've talked about this before. We'll just touch on it here, but they're going to burn the weapons of war. This is in chapter 39, I believe. They burn those weapons for 7 years.
Yeah.
Now, why did God say 7 years? Is there a clue there?
That must be.
What happened? What takes 7 years? How about the 7-year tribulation?
Yes.
And I think there's a clue there. I think the rapture happens at the same time that God intervenes in that battle and kills all those people.
It's obvious God's going to intervene, but as you've already pointed out in other shows, it's a great probability that the Antichrist will take credit for that.
And probably God is going to use a military nation to end that battle.
It's possible.
And I think we have weapons. There's no doubt we have weapons we don't know about.
I'm sure there are a lot of that out there. Yeah.
Some of those weapons, we won't get into conspiracy theories, but some of those weapons are probably already being used against political enemies.
Most conspiracy theories are now out in the open. They're not a conspiracy.
They're not conspiracy
they're
theories
real.
anymore.
But yes, no. But I am convinced that it's going to come close to the beginning of that tribulation days. I don't know if it's going to be the exact same day as you pointed out, but it's definitely going to be in close relationship to all of that.
And one reason I'm so strong on this is my recent study and talking about Revelation 6. When John is told, come and see, and and right after the rapture, he says, come and see, looks over the balcony, and there's a white horse and a man riding it, and he's crowned.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, but as has been pointed out several times on our show, that there's probably not a second missing in God's timepiece.
It'll be a perfect 7,000 years right to the second. God created it that way.
All of that working together. Yes.
And so why would they crown this guy on a white? And first of all, white horse, that's a sign that you've come back in victory. Yeah. And whoever this guy is, he shows up there, and they crown him. Why are they crowning him? Because he's just come back from victory.
Yeah. Or he's at least claiming victory, and he's in association with it.
And you and I both believe, and we talked about this, we believe the one world system is already here. And at the time of the rapture, it'll be pretty much enforced, but it won't be run by one man. It'll be like a council. And at that moment, that council is going to appoint one man to be the guy.
Well, you can already see several different players vying for that role of leadership, no doubt. And you're watching Europe working its way into a United States of Europe.
Yep.
They're not very far from it. And if they amalgamated all their army together, they'd be probably the biggest army in the world, or next to China's army in number.
Now, I was thinking about this. It was either last night or this morning. The whole world's kaput. Look, Donald Trump is gone. Now, whether you like Donald Trump or not, whether you like his playboy lifestyle of the past, Donald Trump.
But the leadership is gone.
Yeah. America's gone. We've got a man in the White House who's got dementia or something.
Yes.
I'm not putting him down. I mean, that happens.
Yes.
But he's not in his right mind.
No.
Who knows who's running the country? They're running us off a cliff. Yeah. But that's not just us. The countries of the world. Yeah. Israel, right now. Israel is
4 times.
4 times. They've dissolved the parliament there, whatever they call it, the Knesset or whatever.
Knesset.
There's no leadership now.
No, there's no leadership.
What a time to do that. Russia's on their doorstep.
Nation after nation in disarray in their leadership.
Yeah.
Germany's in an uproar. I mean,
Germany. Who's leading that place?
Even France has got a leader that nobody likes, but yet he keeps winning, and the list just goes on. Yeah. You got Trudeau in Canada that's
ultra liberal. I mean, just acting like a Hitler and a dictator.
Yeah, totally destroying their countries.
The whole free world is in a mess. Not to even mention the communist nation, but what we call the NATO nations, the free nations, those with constitutional republics, and the leadership's gone.
The leadership's gone,
and you can't help but see God's working here.
prophecy is unveiling. We need to help our folks know God's not making any of this happen. He's just in his foreknowledge has had the penman in the past to write what he knew would happen, and what would be the results of it, and we're watching it fold out.
Yeah. And God told us prophecy is history written in advance.
That's right.
Cannot be altered, can't be changed. Pray all you want. You're not going to pray for the rapture to happen. Nope. I don't understand people. Oh, Brother Gunn, I'm praying for the rapture. It's okay joking to say it.
Well, I understand their sentiment in that direction, but in reality, God's
he did say, even so, come quickly.
God's already got a date set.
Yeah. God's a date setter.
I've been preaching lately because I just had a new grandbaby, and the thought just came to me. God's got a due date. Just like a mother who, that's why he uses the analogy of the travail of a woman. And what do they have when a woman is expecting? They always figure out what's the due date.
Yeah.
God's already got that date set, and we're watching the birth pains. And this is what we're talking about today. These are major birth pains all over the world.
Now, last week, and Mr. Goon, I think you have a picture of the pipeline, and there's Mr. Putin you're going to put up for us. But last week, Doc, we shared the fact that Europe, the European nations, and by the way, Germany, I looked this up this morning, Germany gets over 23% of their natural gas from Mr. Putin, Russia. The European nations have recently met with Israel.
Yes, last week.
And they've struck a deal, and they're going to snub Putin again. Yeah. They're going to thumb their nose at him.
Another pope.
And they're going to buy their natural gas from Israel. Yeah. Now, you can't help but realize that Mr. Putin's only going to take so much of this.
Yeah.
They've pushed him into a corner. He lives up there in the Arctic freeze zone, and they don't have a lot of people.
So he's going to be that hook in his jaw. I believe one of the hooks is to draw him down there to take that, so he's dominant over Europe again. For 70 years he's dominated Europe. And Russia has. Because of natural gas.
So this very well could be the final hook.
Could well be.
But Doc, we got
and he knows her without leadership.
We got 100 stories I could read here.
All of them it's pertinent.
It's unbelievable. We got 100 stories here. Where's the rest of those?
Well,
they're here.
Biden's going to send 300,000. He's talking about 300,000 troops. My God. We got 100,000 troops already in the European theater, and he wants to make it up to 300,000. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I got a story here, and it says this: why Russia doubts NATO's good intentions. This is dated June 30th, just recently. Yeah. And Americans are fed routinely the fantasy that NATO is a defensive organization. Just a group of soldiers and Marines and air crews minding their own business until Russia attacks Europe. But you can see for yourself, and he's got some videos here that we can't play on here, but that's not true. NATO even admitted that it was providing training in offensive operations. Did you know that NATO carried out cybersecurity training for Ukraine in September 2018 and described Ukraine as a NATO partner? See, I've been saying this since way back in January and February, before the war started. Oh, yeah. I said that America has provoked this thing.
That's exactly right.
By trying to convince Ukraine to become a NATO nation. And that's like Russia putting missils in Cuba.
And they're talking about that.
Yeah, and I have that somewhere in the story here.
Russia's talking about it.
It's crazy.
It'd almost be like putting them in Mexico. Yeah. That's the relationship between Ukraine and Russia.
Yeah, right on the border.
Yeah, right on the border.
If Russia put missiles and started training for war in Mexico, we would be very nervous. Yeah. And we wouldn't want to stand for it.
And we're not supporting Mr. Putin, and we're not for all the atrocities and all that. But people need to back up far enough to realize something behind this. It's a global movement is what it's all about.
Yeah. So if you are a Russian general charged with defending Mother Russia, and you see this activity with NATO on your border, would you tell Mr. Putin Nothing to worry about here. They mean no harm. Nothing to see here. No. You'd be telling your president, hey, this is dangerous.
Because that would be how they would think. Yeah. Because that's what they would be doing. They don't have the same moral restraints that Western culture has, really.
And he says in the article here, he brings up the scenario about Mexico. He says, what would Americans think if Russia conducted an annual military exercise like they're doing up there in Mexico?
Yeah.
We would be outraged. We'd be worried, and rightfully so. And so that's going on. There's another report here. This is from the America First report. This is also, I think, June the 30th. Yep, June 30th right here by J.D. Rucker. Joe Biden, now this is shocking here. Joe Biden shoved America even closer to nuclear war with Russia today. Now he's talking about Mr. Biden's speech at, in Europe there.
Such a terrible speech.
First of all, he trashed the Supreme Court in Europe, in a foreign field, foreign nation.
Sad.
Told the world from there that our Supreme Court, that America is basically no good.
Yeah.
By the way, 6-3 decisions.
Yes.
And
nobody will bring that out.
We're not talking about a 5-4. We're talking about 6-3.
Yeah.
And we have one on there now, that, as of yesterday.
That's terrible.
That doesn't know what a woman is.
Yep.
Doesn't know the difference in a man and a woman.
Yep.
And Republicans voted for her.
That's, I know.
I don't know why. I mean, Doc, we got a Supreme Court lady. I bet she knows the difference if she goes to a pet store.
Yeah.
And she wants do you want a female or a male dog?
Yeah. I bet she can figure that out.
I mean, when they asked her that question in the hearings, and I saw
there might be a transgender dog. I don't know.
Why did they stop there? When they asked her if she knew the difference, she said, well, I'm not a biologist. She shouldn't have stopped there. She should have said, well, just a minute. Do you know the difference in a female and a male cat? Or a dog? I mean, you can't let them off the hook like that. We know what this is about.
But then Biden go across the sea and do what he did against the Supreme Court, and now, like you're saying, we got this lady, and she's there.
Yeah, and she's one of those three. She replaced another liberal.
No, she wasn't. She didn't get to vote on that.
Right, she wasn't one. No. She just now got put in. He just retired
the day after. So yeah,
and so she's more liberal probably than anybody there. But
you know, I've been surprised at that. The Sotomayor. You know, she's been kind of for Clarence Thomas because he's reasonable.
Yeah. Yep. So Joe Biden shoves us closer to nuclear war with Russia. This is an interesting story, Doc. The Biden regime has escalated the proxy war between Russia, with Joe Biden speaking about NATO's next move.
Yes.
Here he is on national television in Europe, telling what we're going to do next. And the enemy's listening.
Well, you know, the day before Putin went in, Kamala Harris was in Germany talking about making Ukraine a NATO nation, and that spurred that, and now here he is. Who knows what's coming next?
Yep. Joe Biden speaking about NATO's next move. Now we wait to see how Moscow will react to this. Let's see. The sanctions were bad enough, but continuing the invasion of Ukraine, we have instead brought Western society in general and American society in particular to the cusp of economic collapse. Well, and I'm telling you, we haven't seen nothing yet.
We are headed to major economic problems.
The Biden regime took it up a few notches by sending money, $40 billion, and equipment to Ukraine to prolong a war that cannot be won.
There's another article in there about how that Ukraine will never be able to reclaim all their territory. And I've been saying for weeks, people do not understand prophecy is going to be fulfilled.
Yeah.
And I'm convinced the old Scythian Empire, and he's going to get what he set out to get from the Danube River back east.
He goes on, now they've declared, Biden.
Yeah.
Now they've declared they're sending a massive supply of weapons that will be used to kill Russians.
Yeah.
Moscow will not react very well to this.
No.
I mean, why would they? You know, we're interfering in a war that's not ours.
And we're prolonging it. And as a result of prolonging it, I wonder how many more innocent lives are going to be lost, and the mayhem and all of that.
Yeah.
Of course, the leadership of our world could care less about humanity. They only care about themselves and folks to be the servant for them.
If we keep escalating the conflict, the end result will be a nuclear cataclysm.
Yep. And Russia won't hesitate to be the first to strike.
Now listen to this. This is pretty shocking right here. In a nuclear conflict, now we know this is true. In a nuclear conflict, the side that uses their weapons first
That's it.
has the best chance of survival.
Yep.
That's obvious, and that's true on a battlefield. I used to watch, you watch the Civil War movies, Gettysburg and all. You see them line up, and then one side shoots first, then the other side. The first side that shoots kills some guys. There's going to be less guys shooting back at you, right?
Oh my.
So,
and I mean, for years, Russia has been revamping and reworking their nuclear warheads, and we haven't.
They're talking about increasing to 300,000 troops.
They said we have 100,000 over there now.
Yeah.
Wow, that's probably more than we had during the Vietnam conflict.
It just looks to me like the world is being prepared for Ezekiel 38.
That's right.
And nuclear war.
It's global.
There are people who believe America is not in the end times. Now, I'm not one of those people.
Right.
I'm not saying that a lot of America couldn't be destroyed, because really, America, the Babylon that I believe we are, is not a place, it's a system.
It's a system. And that system can easily be moved.
The Big Apple, the Washington, D.C. Beltway, that's it right there, the system.
The system, but it can easily be moved anywhere in the world. And I'm convinced it will be. And
so America could be destroyed. I personally...
Not only that, but America, we're destroying ourselves.
Yeah.
With the liberal leadership that we have right now.
A wide open border, millions of people coming in, terrorists, who knows, fentanyl.
They're destroying everything that this nation was built on and stood for.
Now here's the story from June 29th. Officials doubt that Ukraine can take back territory. Of course, they're not going to take back anything. This is a losing battle. They're not going to beat Russia. You got to be kidding me.
But talking about territory, do we need to let our folks know we're getting ready to move into some new territory in our ministry?
Yes, good idea. Okay.
Before we run out of time today, we ought to let them know what's going on.
Of course, some of you already know we went on VTN in Arkansas. We've been on there about 6 weeks now. We're on in VTN, Victory Television Network in Arkansas, Little Rock, Hot Springs, Memphis. In fact, I'll be going to Memphis on July 31st. I'll be preaching at Calvary Baptist Church, Pastor Bob Hooker's church right there in Memphis. We're going to promote the VTN TV network. We're going to do a show with Brother Hooker. Very exciting show that I'll tell you, you'll see when we get there. We're going to do some pastoral prophecy shows. We're going to get the pastor's view of prophecy, and we're going to be starting those, I think, next week right here. So you're going to get to see some of those. Very interesting. So that's Saturdays at 12:30. We're on VTN in Arkansas. So if you're in that area, it's on cable. But we're starting a brand new one, Doc. August the 7th, we're going on PTL Network.
Yes.
There are 9 million cable network homes. 9 million people have that in their cable.
Subscribers to it, yes.
Subscribers. So we're starting that August 7th. Here's the good part. We're going to be on at 8:30 p.m.
Yes.
On that network.
That'll be Central Time.
Yeah, Central Time, I believe.
I'm sure it is.
8:30, and because their home office is Missouri, it's got to be Central Time. Mm-hmm. So 8:30 Sunday nights, and that's a good time, a good spot.
Yes.
We're right in between two well-known prophecy guys, Paul Bagley and Dr. Ed Heinzen. We're going to be right in between them at 8:30. Yes. And so we're excited about that. And remember, folks, we are viewer supported. The reason we're going on there is some folks gave us some donations for that very purpose. I raised the money, and we're going to try it for 3 months. And if it works out, we'll get some. We'll keep on going if the Lord keeps the money coming in. We want to thank our viewers, by the way, Doc. We made it for the next 3 months.
Yeah, well, you just sent off or just made the payment.
Just made the payment for CTN.
Yeah, for another 3 months. God's provided it, and thank you again for those that partnered with us, invested in this ministry.
Yeah, and don't stop. We need you. Those you that give regularly, we need you, because that bill comes due every 3 months.
And we've added the other one and the other one, and
we got radio.
We'll add another one if rapture hadn't taken place.
Yeah. Hey, I told someone on the phone, somebody hands a couple $100,000 into my bank account here at Prophecy in the Spotlight. It ain't going to sit there. We're going to go on some big networks, and we're going to use it.
We want to get the message out and help people know.
I don't want to be raptured out of here with a bunch of money in the bank anyway.
Well, there'll be a lot of people leave a lot behind that God intended for them to invest into the ministries.
Well, we've only got about 2 minutes. There's so many more stories we couldn't get to here.
And all of them are the pieces on a global scale. Yeah. Putting it all together.
The whole world is coming together just like the Bible said.
Just exactly like the Bible said.
And pretty soon they're going to be looking for somebody to save the world.
And with the deception that'll sweep over by that time, at the exodus of us, according to the Bible, they're going to believe a lie for the truth.
Yeah.
It won't be hard for somebody. Hey, if I can promise you, you get a little bit of money and you can watch all the TV programs you want, and you can still have something to eat, and all the things they're going to promise you, people say, sign me up.
What's Klaus Schwab saying now that everyone's talking about? You'll own nothing.
And be happy.
And be happy. See, that's pure socialism right there. Or
but
maybe communism.
It's almost but here.
Yeah, I mean, in other words, the government will supply everything. If you need to go somewhere, they'll have a bus to take you.
But that's exactly what the mark of the beast system is. It is pure socialism.
Yeah.
Yes. The world is being programmed for it right now. You had articles in there about the facial recognition and making payments with your hand or with your forehead. And I mean, everybody's being programmed for the tribulation days.
The artificial intelligence is there. People are getting robots in there. I mean, it's so rapid now you can't even keep up.
The birth pains are getting so close together and so extreme. The event's going to happen, and I'm ready for it. Amen.
Yeah. Now, Doc, in the 30 seconds we have left, tell the viewers how they can be ready.
If you've never been born again, you never received Christ your Savior, never placed your faith and trust in what Jesus did on Calvary's cross, listen, you got to be born again. You need to receive Christ as your Savior. The Bible said, whosoever call on the name of the Lord shall be saved. And if you need help with that, contact us through the information that's provided.
Yeah, all right. Well, on that note, Doc, we're out of time. Folks, keep your eyes on them skies.